Hi everyone, and welcome to this comparison that I decided to do, which I thought would be interesting. Fair enough, there are perhaps a few IEMs that I could have added, maybe a final audio E1000 or E2000 could have been added to this equation. There is also a Semfer which could have been added. However, I've been waiting for quite some time already for those items to arrive, and I decided no, I just want to put this out there and show what these babies have in common, what they don't have in common, and let everyone else decide. This first part, I'm just going to go through a quick unboxing. Don't want to spend too much time on it, but anyway, the main key thing to keep in mind here is all of these IEMs have drivers which are 7mm or below. So Blon 6mm, Tanchim 7, Moondrop 6, the KINERA 6, and the AudioSense 6.2. Okay, they are all very different in terms of materials used: metal shell, metal plastic, metal shell. It seems like metal, so I would say it's metal plastic shell. In terms of the packaging of each one of them, very simple affair. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen, the experience is what it is. Some of them a little bit more elaborate, others less, but it is what it is. The AudioSense brings a MMMCX connector with a very basic cable and some tips. The Blon brings a pretty nice cable actually, with a 2-pin connector. I should have showed you guys. 1 second, do that quickly. So, oops. Where's the cable? No cable in here. But anyway, it's surprised. Where did I put the cable on this thing? Funny. Anyway, it's a pretty nice cable for the Blon. Brings the usual carrying case that Blon's gotten us used to it. The KINERA follows their typical presentation. Very nice box with all the tips and stuff that you would need. It's also a fixed cable IEM. It's got some final audio tips in there, which is a nice touch. The tips are pretty good, so that's that. The Tanya as well, very nice presentation for the Tanchim. Oops. Again, this is a fixed cable, although the cable on the Tanya is slightly better than the majority of the others, which are fixed. Oops, this thing doesn't want to open up. That's a battle there. Okay, I think I got it. Alright, it brings the usual as well. Brings those famous Tanchim filters which I've been using, tips and some illustrations and guarantees and so on and so forth. So that's that. And might as well just put it away nicely. There you go. And Moondrop as well. Pretty decent presentation. So considering, also brings a pretty nice cable. Considering that these are all around, well, Moondrop around $35 more or less, the Tanya around $22, the AudioSense around $25, the KINERA around $20, and the Blon around $29. So the packaging is all pretty acceptable and pretty nice. I mean, you take your pick. At the end of the day, this is all to throw away. So what matters is what comes inside of the boxes. Right? Alright then. Okay, on to the IEMs themselves. these are the KINERA tier. These things are tiny. I mean, tiny, 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 tiny. Build quality is pretty decent, like I said. I can't really make out if this is metal or plastic, but it's a combination. I'm using the standard tips. Fixed cable. This one has a microphone control thingy-mabob included, and you can't really get it in any other way. That's that. These ones, the Tanyas, everybody already kind of knows them. Alright, nice looking IEM. The lettering there actually dictates which is left and right, so the lettering goes to the outside, and you will know which one is which. Then the cable is pretty decent. So these two are fixed cable. Then SSP, some heft to it, it's got some nice weight to it, nice solid metal shell. I'm using a Yinio 16 core cable on this one. It's what I had available, and it looks good because it's blue. The Blons, again, some weight to them, some heft. Again, using a Yinio cable, 16 core. Looks really nice. And finally, the T100, the AudioSense T100. Using a nice HDK cable, 16 core as well. This is the only one which is an MMCX. Those two are 2-pin, and those two are fixed cable. Build quality is plastic, and I'll be quite honest, I mean, these are some KZ Starline tips inverted, and I've done a little mod there to the nozzle so that I could actually put them on. It's like this that I tested and I did the comparison, because with the standard tips, and I can actually show them to you. 1 second. Okay. These are the standard tips. I mean, that's like a pin needle thing. It's really tiny. And with these tips on there, I'll be very honest, I didn't like what I heard. I just didn't. With this little mod and the wide bores in comparison to the standard ones, it came alive differently. So yeah, what can I say in terms of overall build? Definitely Blons and the SSPs are the best ones. The Tanya follows closely. It loses out only for the fact that it's got a fixed cable, and these two are the weaker ones. The one that maybe disappointed me a little bit was the AudioSense. I just was expecting something a little bit more sturdy. Even putting the cable and taking the cable out, it looks like it's gonna just break apart. So that was a little bit of a disappointment. And yeah, that's it. Okay, and now on to what everybody has been waiting for, which is basically the sound. How do they sound? How do all of these IEMs sound, and how do they compare to each other? And right away from the beginning, I want to make the following division, okay, which I will explain. These two are second tier, and these three are first tier. Okay, let's go by parts. The KINERA, didn't really like them. They are as V as can be. They've got decent quality bass. Mids are non-existent. Then they've got some treble somewhere, and they just sound odd. I mean, honestly, from a brand like KINERA that does things like the Nana and others below the Nana, which are equally impressive, I mean, even a BD05 Pro, which isn't exactly my favorite IEM, it's a decent IEM, you know, and this thing budget for $20 or $22 or whatever it is. I was kind of expecting something else. I really was. I was expecting something a little bit more engaging. If other brands can do it, I think they can do it as well. So this, honestly, I'm not going to waste too much time with it because it was so disappointing that I just left it here because I said I would review it, and I really wouldn't spend any money with this thing. Really wouldn't. Period. That's out of the way. AudioSense. Okay. This thing is fat, and by fat I mean it's got bass and bass and more bass and more bass. Not necessarily the best bass. It is sometimes pretty good. It is. It has got some texture. It's got layering. It can be quick, but for the most part, it's boomy. So it gets a little bit fatiguing after a while. In the standard form, with the standard nozzle and the thin tips, it even emphasized that excessive bass more. So it actually became a boring IEM to listen to after a while. If, however, you want something that can, you know, pound your ears and can actually take a bit of power in terms of what you have to drive it, then they are fine. They're okay. Mids are not bad if you are careful and maybe even equalize the bass slightly off. And the highs, they are sufficient. Let's put it that way, because the bass they have is just so much. It just makes the whole thing sound very, very, very closed in. But it's not. I mean, there will be people that will enjoy its sound. Okay, that's out of the way, which brings us to our boys here. Okay, they are all very different in terms of their overall signature. The Mini is basically a one. It's basically a one. You know, it can get sometimes a little bit boomy in the bass, but if you are careful and you play around with the tips and you choose the right tip and you are actually able to get it to fit properly, you get some good deep rumble out of these things. It's full. Like I said, it's basically an 01 with improved mid-range, and the highs, apart from that 7K, 7-ish K peak that it has, are also better. The problem lies exactly there. It's on that 7 something K peak, and that's what can sometimes make the listening of the Blon very fatiguing. If, again, let me point again to that aspect, if you are careful with the tips that you choose, so, you know, not perhaps too close, because if it's too close it will overemphasize the bass and lose maybe some technicalities. If it's too open, you lose bass, but then you gain technicality, and then it's a give and take. You have to play around with the tips until you find something that really really works and sounds best for you. But blondes are the blondes, and there's nothing to dislike about them. Personally, myself, it's the fitment that got to me. The 7K peak, I was able to handle it quite well, so it didn't really bug me. SSP. This is basically an SSR, so it has all that mid-range, all those highs, which maybe in the SSR were considered by many or by some to be excessive and could get shouty and too much and over bright and so on and so forth. And they've slightly retuned this, and it's got more bass. So the SSP is basically a more bassy SSR, like everybody probably already knows or has heard or has read about or seen other reviews. But the mids in this thing, at least for me, the vocals, the mids, the way it just is open, is amazing. I honestly enjoyed the SSP. I do. From the first day I got them. And I've had them now for the better part of 6 or 7 months. I like them. I like them. They don't have the bass of the Blon. Maybe if they could have a little bit of the bass of the Blon, they could counteract that excessive brightness that sometimes they have. But again, I honestly didn't find, to my ears and to my music, the brightness too fatiguing or something that would want to make me take out the earphones from my ears. In terms of fitment, as opposed to the Blon fitment of these things, for me at least, perfect, absolutely spot on, very, very, very nice. And then finally, the Tanyas. And well, what can I say? If the Blon is more of a V-shaped, if that is more of a neutral, bright kind of signature, this will be kind of a excuse me, kind of a warm diffuse field. By a warm diffuse field, instead of having that flat bass, it has a nice hump with a little bit of a roll off around maybe, I would say around 30-35 hertz. It has a little slight roll off, but nothing too significant. And then the mid-range kind of peaks at about 3K, and then it goes down, nice and slowly and gradually, just like the etymotics kind of do. So it has a kind of a, let's say it's got a very similar signature to a certain extent to the I don't want to say the Oxygen, but overall, yes, the sound is kind of very Oxygen-like. At least to my ears, I found it to be very much like the Oxygen in many things. The mids are to die for in the Tanyas. I mean, absolutely love them. They don't have the brightness that the SSP has. That's true, but the way it just makes up for that by having more bass than the SSP makes, in my opinion, for a more pleasant, a more fun, engaging listen. That's to my ears again, and to my musical preference. Having said that, and I want to make that clear, the difference overall between any of these three is very minor. I mean, bass, good mids, slightly shouty treble, amazing mids, great highs, if you like that. So technical, it's a very technical. The bass a little bit shy, but it keeps up nicely, and it resolves the issues that the SSR had. The Tanya, I think, is the compromise. It has more bass, and by more bass I mean in quantity and in quality. The quality of them, in terms of quality of bass, this and this falls behind. In terms of quantity, this definitely. So this has the quality of the bass of this, and has the quantity which sits somewhere in between these two. So it makes it the best compromise. In terms of the mids of these two are equal, although this transition to the highs is better than this one. So the mids here actually end up being better, and they are more well blended in with the bass than the Blons. The highs here are slightly shy on some music, but it's so well, everything is so good together, it's perfect. Mids and highs here are very good. If you like it, it's very good. So, there isn't a real definite clear winner here. I mean, in different circumstances and in different scenarios, each one of them will stand out, and overall, like I say, the differences are minute. You can't really go wrong with any of them. If I am to perhaps use music as as a decision maker, if you like more bass heavy EDM, rap, kind of hip hop, maybe the Blondes will be the better choice. If you listen to more jazz, to more vocals, and maybe then you like your technicalities, then the SSP. If you want the best of basically everything, a nice earphone capable of playing basically everything very well, then the Tanyas. The only drawback on the Tanyas, really, and it's a pity because I think the Tanchim could have actually found a way around it to, have it have detachable cable, is the fact that the cable is not detachable. So with time, it is inevitable that the cable will break, because it actually is pretty flimsy there as well. And yeah, it's a pity. And so yeah, that's basically it. Oh, just one last quick thing. This is actually the carrying case which comes with the AudioSense. The KINERA brings this little pouch. The Tanchim brings this little fabric bag. Blon, we already know what it is, and SSP doesn't have anything. And yeah, so don't waste your time with this. Leave it. Let someone else have it. I'm sure there will be people that will enjoy it. AudioSense, I guess, will have its people that will have the right client. Okay, it's the fat lady. Yeah, it's the one that has the most bass in quantity, not the best bass. And then we're left with these three, which are all, in my books and to my ears, all very pleasing, all very, very satisfying. Okay, thank you. Hope you enjoyed this. Thank you.